Welcome to Dirt Sweat Gears and the ride share of ruined rides. We are here with my 1989 Honda Prelude four-wheel steering, and today's going to be a bit of an emotional day because we're saying goodbye to this car for a while. Now, as of recording this, I have owned this car for 24 years, and this car has been with me every day since I was 16 years old. But I am not getting rid of it forever. That would be the biggest regret of my life, and I know that. We're going to put this in storage temporarily in order to get back my 1973 Ford Maverick. I'm really excited to see this car again. I haven't even seen this car in over a year. It's been in storage for the better part of 4 years, and we're going to get it back, and we're going to finish this damn car so that we can enjoy it for a while, and then find it a new home. We'll get into the details later on once we get this car back home, but first, I'm going to enjoy my Prelude for a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit on the drive down for what I have in store for this car in the future. Well, we are on the last drive that I'm going to experience with my Prelude for probably a few months, if not more. And this is far from a perfect car, even though we've done a whole lot of work to this car and really made it an amazing machine. We're getting into some really, little details. Some of the really Honda Prelude specific problems that you have when you own this car for a long period of time. Like I'm starting to hear, but you probably can't hear it on camera, but I'm hearing a rattle in the door, and that is because these doors are so damn heavy that over time the pins inside the hinges start to wear out, and it causes the door to shift up and down. I've already confirmed that that's exactly what's happening, because when you open the door you can lift the door up and down. Another issue that I'm having with this car is that there's still something going on with the suspension. I am suspecting that probably the other front shock is on its way out, because it's still acting weird over some bumps. Not all. It's overall really good to drive. It's just that on occasion I'm feeling like, this isn't behaving the way I think it should behave. And the last couple of big issues with this car are aesthetic. And I'm not really worried about aesthetic at this point because I have a very long dirt driveway and everything just gets filthy and destroyed if I take it out of the garage. And so I haven't been putting effort beyond cleaning it up and taking it to car shows for that reason. But once I do have a driveway, I want to paint this car. I want to strip it down to the metal, and actually want to take it to a shop to have it done professionally, because I haven't really done anything ultra premium for this car, and I want to start. I want to start treating this car like it's a classic car, because that's exactly what it is. And that's going to start with paint, and I'm also going to work on some interior aesthetic projects as well. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my drive. It's a long one, but it's the last one that I'm going to have with this Prelude. So I'm going to turn the music on and just enjoy myself and immerse myself in the driving experience. So I'll catch up with you when it's time to pick up the Maverick. We're back from the shop with the Maverick out of storage and the Prelude in storage. And while it makes me really, really sad to have to say goodbye to my Prelude for a while, having the Maverick back is really cool. I mean, first of all, let's just take a look at how good this looks next to my grandma's Camaro. It's like these two cars belong together. They really do. Now, I know I may have mentioned even in this video that my eventual goal was to sell this car, but, I gotta be honest, every time I look at it, I cannot imagine getting rid of this car. It is very, very nice, and I don't think I'm ever going to own a car this nice. I definitely don't have the ability to make a car this nice. I mean, the inside, while it's a little bit dirty and there's some things that need to be cleaned up, is just absolutely a time capsule. I mean, this is the original headliner. This is original, all of this. It is in amazing condition. And just the idea of seeing this go, it would be, it's almost unthinkable. People that have a beef with this car is really all that is. It's a beef. There's no reason not to like this car. There's nothing to not like about it. And if you have a problem with it, it's because you're old and you are hanging on to something from days long past where this car and that car were direct competitors with each other. And there's no reason for that anymore. They're both cool. They're different, but they're cool. Now that this car is back from the shop, though, let's take a look at what my friend Chris has done to it and what is left to be done, because there's quite a bit in both categories. Coming in under the hood, obviously this needs a thorough cleaning, and that is something that I do intend to take on, but I want to handle the mechanic stuff first, because the mechanics tend to make clean things dirty. So my friend Chris, he took care of the clutch, the flywheel, and the oil pan gasket. And he spent a lot of time cleaning everything up underneath. We'll go under this car in just a little bit because it is an interesting sight down there. But up here, we are missing the battery tray harness. I do have that on the bench, so it's nice to have that back. Over here, this wiring looks kind of like a kind of a disaster. If I can clean that up, I definitely am interested in doing that. Looking at the engine, we've got what looks to be a little bit of a leak here in this cooling passage, and that should be pretty easy to resolve. I didn't put any kind of pipe dope or anything on that when I was putting it together. One of the things Chris mentioned with this car was that the accelerator pump was sticking, and that could be because this car spent a lot of time sitting. And that would mean that the carburetor needs to come off. It needs to be rebuilt. This is a Holley 600. It is not that hard to work with. You guys saw me struggle with the Quadrajet when I was working on the Camaro over here. The Holley is so much more simple. I'm pretty sure I can handle the Holley myself without having to send it to a shop. Another major issue that I want to take care of is this heater core. This heater has been bypassed for as long as I've had this car. So that tells me that the heater core is probably leaking. So I need to pull, I don't know if I need to pull the dash or if I can get to it much easier than that, but I need to replace that heater core. And do I want to add air conditioning to this car? I don't know. That's a question that I'm going to need to deliberate on for a little bit, because I've had a lot of practice with AC, and it might be a fun thing to add to this car if I can make it work logistically. Because this engine bay is a little bit tight, especially compared to the Camaro. And one other thing that I really want to do with this car is to address the gauges. Inside the car here, you see I have just a little tat gauge down here. I really like how clean it is down here, but the rest of the gauges for this car are just kind of sitting here, and they're just kind of flopping around. So I have the battery gauge and the temp gauge. Those work, but the oil pressure gauge does not. And that's because I never hooked it up. I don't want to hook this up because these gauges, like this is literally oil that is connected to your, running through the car, running through the firewall into the car. So if this breaks or comes loose or whatever, it's just going to spray oil everywhere inside this car. And I can't imagine doing that. So I want to swap out the oil pressure sensor for an electric one so that I can run a wire up here instead of relying on this fluid pressure thing. And then, of course, on the inside, we have some cleanup to do. We do have that tear in the seat. I think I want to ask my Uncle Don about that because he may know of a solution. And of course, we have this issue with the door handles. This is a very common thing with Mavericks. I don't know what to do about this yet. I don't know how to fix this, but it'd be nice to figure that out. The next major issue that this car has is actually a safety concern. When I did the disc brake conversion to the front of this car, I did not install a proportioning valve in the rear, and I really need to. This car does not have a brake booster, so when I put my foot into the brakes, I lock up the rear wheels real easily, and it's really a huge concern. It just so happens that I have a proportioning valve that is made for a disc brake conversion, and I got that from my Studebaker. But since my Studebaker does not have rear brakes at the moment, I have it laying around. It's an inline proportioning valve that I can add to probably just right before the rear wheels. That's where it's meant to go on the Studebaker anyway. And I could add that without having to clutter up the engine compartment. And that's probably what we're going to do here. I think that will solve that problem just fine. And then I can address the problem with the Studebaker when I have the Studebaker in here and when I'm working on it. But that day is quite a ways away because we have to make a lot of progress on this Camaro before we can even entertain that. Moving over into the back, we have some rust on the chrome. I don't know if I want to bother restoring that or just enjoy the patina because the patina is pretty cool. There's some rust underneath that I want to take care of. It's not bad, but let's get this car up on a jack stand and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. We are underneath the car. I have the jack underneath the front cross member, but I also have jack stands underneath the frame rails just in case the jack starts to fail. And we're not going to be spending a lot of time down here, so I'm not terribly worried about anything happening. You see how clean this oil pan is. It looks great. I mean, my friend Chris did an amazing job cleaning everything up, replaced the oil pan gasket. He replaced the rear main seal. Also did the clutch, the flywheel, and cleaned up the transmission, the bell housing, everything back there, and it looks really, really good. But in order to keep it looking really good, I need to take care of the power steering because as you can see down here, these power steering lines are just gushing fluid, and so is the power steering assist piston thing here. That all needs to come out and get replaced and redone. So the first thing we need to do is fix that power steering leak. And once we do that, I think the only other thing I need to do underneath this car is to take care of the rust. You see, on the frame here, and as well as on the unibody going pretty much all the way to the back of the car, we have surface rust everywhere. And this is all surface rust. None of it is structural. It's all very, very solid. This car is in incredible condition, but I want to keep it that way for a very, very long time. So I want to spray all of this with rust neutralizer and then with coat of primer, and then we're going to finish it all off with rubberized undercoating. I'm a huge fan of rubberized undercoating. It's really good stuff. We're going to do the underside of the car. We're going to do the wheel wells and the inside of the fender wells here. Because even though, oh, it's not factory, they didn't do a great job at everything from the factory. So we're going to go ahead and make it better. Now, the last thing we need to do is actually the most important thing that you could do if you own a Ford Maverick with a 302, and that is to put in a proper dual exhaust. That's going to be the last thing I do to this car because it's probably going to be the most fun thing that I'm going to do to this car. The most fun to drive anyway. It's probably going to be awful to install. But with a proper dual exhaust, this car is going to sound great. It may even run better. It may be faster, but I am not really concerned with going fast anymore, especially since we have electric cars and electric motorcycles that can just absolutely destroy anything that I could build with internal combustion in terms of 0 to 60 time. That's not fun to drive, though. That's not an experience. This is an experience, and that's why I have something for when I don't want a vehicular experience and when I do want a vehicular experience. And when I want a bad vehicular experience. Because a bad experience is still an experience. I think before we take this thing on a test drive, we need to give it a proper clean and make it look good. I ran out of ceramic coating while I was doing the back half of the car. And because I had to purchase it, I'm not going to talk about what I used. I just used a ceramic coating. If you want me to talk about your ceramic coating and give you a free commercial, you got to give me free shit. The next thing we're going to do while we wait for that new batch of ceramic coating to arrive is the starter. You might have noticed during the startup sequence that I haven't edited it yet, so I either jump cut it or I cut out a bunch of the grinding, but the starter doesn't like to engage all the time. So we're going to pull it out, we're going to take it down to the shop, and we're going to have it rebuilt. I really, really hate working on my back, but here we go. The starter is just 2 bolts, and then there's 1 bolt holding the power wire to the starter. That's pretty much it. As far as I can see, as far as I can remember, because I did replace this once upon a time. I got the starter back from R&R Electric in Sun Valley, and I gotta be honest with you, if I hadn't seen these things side by side, I would not have known that this was different. Obviously, he knew just from looking at my old one that it was different, but that's kind of his jam. Yeah, let's get this thing in the car and see if it works, because then I might pretty soon have a reliable Maverick, and I'm really looking forward to that. Thinking back to the chewed up flywheel, which is why I put this car in storage in the first place, I can't help but to wonder if it had the wrong starter long before I even got this car. That would explain why the original flywheel was chewed up in the first place. That would also explain why I have the wrong starter in it now, because shortly after I got this car, I replaced the starter with the one that we just took out of this car. I also learned while I was underneath this car that my brand new flywheel had some evidence of wear that it shouldn't have had. So I'm wondering if the wrong starter is what damaged the flywheel in the first place. Let's find out, because now I have the new starter in, I've got the battery hooked up, the car is ready to fire up. Yeah! Oh my God, did you hear that grab and turn? Wow! I might still have carburetor problems. I've obviously done nothing about that yet, but that was amazing. Here it's choking out. Oh, that's cool. I also don't have a lot of gas in this thing. The needle shows empty, and I did replace the fuel sending unit. Let's shut this car off before I die of inhalation. The next thing I want to do on this Maverick is to fix the rear brakes. When I'm driving this car and I hit the brakes, I have way too much rear brake bias. And that causes the rear to lock up and the front to just not do their job very well. And since the front is a 4-piston Willwood big brake upgrade, that's kind of a big deal. We need to add a proportioning valve to the rear brakes of this car. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. I could get the Willwood proportioning valve that you dial in manually so that you can get the perfect front and rear brake bias, or I've got this thing. This is a 10 PSI proportioning valve that came with my Studebaker front brake kit. It's essentially the same principle. You just put this in line on the back axle before it splits off to the 2 rear drum brakes. And if you have disc brakes on the front, drum on the back, this is supposed to solve that problem. Again, it's not the ideal solution. Ideally, I want to get the knob and I want to mount it and do all that stuff. But this should get us close enough to where we want to be. And I can revisit that solution later on once I know what I want to do with the rear end. Because I may want to do a full disc brake rear end on this thing. I probably do. Now that I have eyes on this, I have a much better idea of what I'm up against. The first thing I've noticed here is that rear line needs to go. It may even be original. It's not in very good shape. I don't see any bloating like it's going to explode or anything, but if I'm going to put a proportioning valve in this thing, I'm going to disassemble this. I mean, if I know what's good for me, I'm going to replace that line. Once I have the new line in, I can get a measure on the threads of that connection there. And once I do that, I can order up a couple of flare fittings and start to make the adapter for the proportioning valve. The reason is because I don't want to bend that original hardline if I can get away with it. I know I'm going to have to bend it a little bit in order to get it to fit, but I really want to minimize the amount of bending I need to do. So I'm going to need to get creative with my proportioning valve and my adapter fittings. This isn't a proper how-to video. If you want to know how to make your own brake lines, check out Superfast Matt's video. He did an incredible video on how to do your own brake lines. I'll put a link in the description. It's what I refer to every time I do this if I haven't done it in a while. In fact, off camera, you may be able to see the screen here. I actually have his video up on my screen right now because I wanted to refresh myself on how to do this. So I've done one connection already, which is why I am comfortable talking to the camera because I don't sound like a moron. So we have our pipe cutting tool. This is something you can pick up at any hardware store. You can use this for cutting copper plumbing lines, which is exactly what I use it for. So you use this little cutter and you cut your brake line. The next thing you need to do is deburr the lines. You need a deburring tool. You can also get that at the hardware store. I also do a little bit of sandpaper on the very end to get any kind of like shavings that may have come off with this. So a little bit of each, and we'll get this thing cleaned right up. Once you have your line cut and deburred, the next thing you want to make sure you do is put your fitting on. And don't put it on backwards. You will forget to put a flare fitting on. That is just something that happens to everyone. It's happened to me. Not yet on this project, but there's still plenty of time. So now that I have both fittings on, they're in the correct place. We're going to put our block on. We have, this is exactly the tool that Superfast Matt recommended, and it's actually a great tool. I'm going to set it to position 0. And I'm going to stick the line in. And the idea with position 0 is that it's completely flat. And you want to use this side of the block that has the inverted flare. We're doing a bubble flare on this. So with the side with the taper facing the block, we're going to put this in. We're going to not forget to put our fitting on. Put the block on. So we're going to put the through bolt in first. It's still loose. And then we push it in, clamp it down. And we're ready to go. So now we set it to position 1 at 3/16. And we give it a good yank. We're set. Then we go to position 2, 3/16. And there we go. Pull it out, take a look, make sure it looks right. There's nothing weird about it. And I think we're good to go. So now on our proportioning valve, we have the 10 psi in the direction that it needs to go. Since this comes from the car out to the rear lines, this is the direction we need to go. So now I basically need to make another one of these to put it on this side to have the line end up back here so that I can connect it to the car. This is what it looks like with the proportioning valve installed and with the bracket in place. I do wish I had another bracket that I could put at the bottom down here, but it doesn't move around enough to really be concerned, and eventually I'll find one. For now, it's not moving. It's going to be just fine. Another mistake I almost made was that I almost put my proportioning valve on backwards. I'm going to guess that you don't want to do that. I also sprayed everything underneath with, well, almost everything, with paint, rust neutralizer, and with rubberized undercoating. I will definitely do more at some point. We're going to drop this rear end, and I'll be able to get a much more thorough job. But I did most of the stuff back here. I also did a lot of work on the frame rails back there and along the back of the car. Again, you know, the more projects we take on, the more of this we'll do along the way. I debated doing the gas tank, but I have to drop the gas tank anyway because there's some life in there and it's pretty gross. So at some point, that is all going to have to come out as well. but we'll deal with that later. For now, we're going to put the car on the ground and see how the brakes perform with this proportioning valve. No, I didn't almost forget to tighten the lug nuts and drive off the car with the lug nuts on finger tight and lose the wheel. I would never do that. Only an idiot would do that. And we are in desperate need of gas, so that is the first place we're going. So far, the brakes feel really good. Yeah, or at least as good as they did before. So I put 5 gallons in it, and this is the first time that I've ever seen my fuel gauge actually show how much fuel I have. I replaced the fuel sending unit before I put this car in storage, but I didn't really put any gas in it, so it was kind of like I never saw the result of my work until just now. Yeah, I have timing issues right now, I can tell. It could be timing. It could be, my friend said that he thinks the accelerator pump is sticking from, could be from sitting. Yeah, it's starved for something, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, right rear brake is grinding. So after our little test drive, we learned that there is something wrong with the rear brakes. In fact, I remember this shortly before I put this car into storage. I had just completely forgotten because I haven't had to drive this car in a very long time. But we have a grinding noise coming out of the right rear brake drum. And so I decided to park the car, take the wheel off, and let's just go take a look at what we have going on here. Pretty sure those are supposed to be in there. Not only is this the 4th car that I've owned in running condition where a drum brake has broken a spring, but 100% of the cars that I have owned in any type of running condition have had the brake drums break a spring. Am I cursed? Like, what the hell is going on? Leave a comment. If springs breaking and drum brakes is a common thing, I want to know, because I never want to work with drum brakes again. I hate this. This is really, really stupid. There's a lot of complexity here that doesn't need to be here. But here's what it looks like on the passenger side. Let's go take a look at the driver's side so we know what it's supposed to look like. This is what it looks like on the driver's side. It's supposed to look like this. One of the parts that fell off is down here. It's this thing, which means I believe this spring is the one that's broken. So the nice thing about having only 1 broken brake drum as opposed to 3 is that I have a working template of what it should look like. And I can refer to this when I'm working on the other side. So I definitely want to do the other side first and get that working so that I can make it look like this. We got all of the new brake hardware that we need to do the rear brakes on this Maverick. Really nice thing about this is that all of the springs are color-coded. In fact, it matches the color code of the springs that are already on the car, including the broken one. The broken one is the blue spring over here, and this is the replacement. We have wheel cylinder rebuild kits. I got the wheel cylinder rebuild kits because this was $10, and wheel cylinders were like $35 each. So I figured I'm going to save a little bit of money, and I know how to rebuild these because I learned how to do it with my Studebaker, and we're going to rebuild these together on camera. Looking at the brake cylinder, we of course have a spring on the inside, we've got the plungers on either side, and we have these rubber outer boots. Now, one of the things that I realized as I was starting this project was I don't have a honing tool. I used to, but I don't anymore. So we have to hope that it's not going to be that bad in here. But taking this off, it looks like it is that bad in here. Now, we should be able to just push this through with something capable of pushing. And of course, it's going to push all of the fluid out. But it pushed the plunger out the other side too. So let's do that a little bit more and see if it works. Yep, there we go. We got that one out. And we've got the seal. We can just pull at the seal with our pick. Boom. And it shoots out because of the spring. When you're doing this, you want to pay attention to how it comes apart. This cap goes on top of the spring like this. I know, real technical terms. Now that we have the other side, we could just shove it through. So let's clean up this barrel and take a look at it a little bit. Now we have our brake cylinder honing tool. You see, I went to the zone and got this. And this is probably where you're going to find your brake cylinder honing tool. I thought I had one, but now that I'm doing this job, I remember that mine broke and I had to throw it away. So now we have a new one. You're going to hook this thing up into your drill. And you're going to take the twist tie off so that it expands. And before you run this thing into your cylinder, you don't want to forget to lube that hole. It's getting better. So you want to keep doing that, but you also want to keep adding brake fluid in to keep it lubricated. And you really only need to do this until it's cleaned up on the inside, which means I think we're good. The next thing we want to do is clean up these filthy little plunger things. This one I've started to clean up, and as you can see, it can be saved. We could do it two ways. We could do it the hard way, by hand with sandpaper, or we could do it the easy way with the bench wheel. Let's fire this thing up and get this cleaned up. And by the way, if you're going to shoot carb cleaner into the center of these things, wear safety glasses. I learned the hard way. So I've cleaned up these little guys over here and slipped the new rubber on them, and we are ready to reassemble our brake cylinder. Now, again, you want to get brake fluid all over all of the things, especially as they come into contact. So this is really easy to put together. You just kind of shove it in. Don't make a joke about that. I mean, how old are you? How old are you, really? Now we've got these that need to push in. And so you want to put the dome side facing out because that mates up with the ball side of the fork. There we go. And there we go. Now we just give this one final clean. We can put a little bit of fluid in it on the bench before we put it on the car. That'll make it bleed a lot easier. And we're ready to reassemble this. Well, there was absolutely nothing pleasant about that. This was horrible. This was completely horrible. I actually don't know how I got this together. I started with the brake cylinder, and then I just kept running back and forth from the other side to this side to kind of piece it all together. I kind of started top down. I think the worst part of it was actually getting the yellow spring on, because there's supposed to be a tool that supposedly makes this easier. I have no idea where it is. I know I have one. I might have chucked it in the trash because it is not nearly as helpful as it's supposed to be. So I ended up using these tools here. I think one of the most helpful ones was this. This was from the drum brake kit. That's why I was looking for it. I know I have one because I have this. And managed to get the yellow spring up, but I had trouble with it bending. So once I got it on there, I kind of was racing to bend it back into shape before it popped off again because I tried like 6 times. This was terrible. This was really, really terrible, but it's on there and it looks like it's all correct. And I think we're okay. I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to go do the other side after I chill out for a bit. This was very enraging. Well, it's done, but I think a part of myself died along the way. This time around, oh no, I just saw something really horrible. That right there. So I'm not done. So I got to fix that. No! Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. There's like a minimum amount of rage you must experience by law when doing drum brakes. It's done. It really didn't take very long. I did hurt my hands many, many times along the way, though. In order to loosen things up, I had to snap this out, which of course meant it went directly into my thumb. Drop this adjustment pin out. And then I was able to remove this spring here. From there, I was able to navigate things around to free this up over here and to reposition it and put it back together. And in order to get it back together, well, it wasn't that terrible. It was only kind of terrible. But I think we're back together. I think we can put this drum on and see how it looks. I think we're good to go. Obviously, I'm going to need to adjust the brakes, but let's get both of the drums on. Let's get the cylinders bled, and then we'll be able to adjust these. I had my wife come out and help me bleed the brakes, so I think we are good to start moving this thing around. It's going to be the same process as last time. We're going to move it just a little bit. So I've got a block and a wedge there to stop the car, just in case. And I want to know that I'm going to get a brake response. And then I'm going to bring it out to here and see that the handbrake works. Because I really want the parking brake to work when I live on this stupid, stupid hill. So once I know that the handbrake works, then I'm going to clean up over here, put this car away, and we'll go on a test drive. The brakes feel really good. If you notice, we are parked on the hill with the handbrake was on. I had to pull the handbrake a little bit farther than I would have preferred, but I don't think it's any worse than it was before, that's for sure. And so far the brakes feel really good. I was able to control it coming downhill. Oh, this car runs like crap. But the brakes feel great. All right, we got to turn this thing around because it is not happy right now. All right, priorities just changed. I was gonna do steering next, but if we can't I might have to winch this car up the driveway. This is horrible. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Come on, Maverick. Come on, Maverick. You can do it. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. All right. That was brutal. That was brutal. But we have, despite that epic failure of a test drive, we have a mission success because the brakes work. The brakes work really, really well. We got just enough speed as we were coming down the other side of the road there to give this a thorough test. Obviously, since there's no brake booster, it still stops like an old car, but that's a problem that we can address some other time. The great news here, though, is that once we get the car driving, we'll be able to stop. And since stopping is more important than driving, well, we have ourselves a success. So now that this car can stop, the next time we check in with this car, we're going to make sure that it can drive. And then once it can drive, we'll make sure it can steer, because steering is the third most important thing behind stopping and going. That's going to wrap it up for this video. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you don't like what you see, I want to hear from you anyway. Maybe you think I'm ruining this car by spraying the undercarriage with rubberized undercoating. Maybe you think I should preserve this car as a museum piece. I disagree with you. I want to hear from you. And if there's anything you think I should look into with this car, with the Ford 302 Windsor platform, the first generation, drop a comment. I know there's a lot of experts out there, and I know you guys love sharing your knowledge. Just don't be a dick. That's all I ask. It's a pretty easy thing to do, is to not be a dick. We're all having fun here. We're enjoying these vehicles and these old cars and the tools that we use to fix them and make them amazing. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.